In this episode, we're going to be looking at a few stories. Thank you for joining us again today. Democrats' collapsing narratives take center stage as Jamie Raskin, your favorite Democrat, gets destroyed on CNN over Stacey Plaskett's Epstein texts. Hakeem Jeffries gets exposed for lying about illegal immigrants and Medicaid. Chicago's mayor claims jailing criminals, get this, is racist. That guy just keeps saying more stupid things week in and week out. And a Minnesota judge frees a Somali immigrant convicted of a $7.2 million Medicaid fraud. We're also breaking down the UCMJ bombshell, the CIA's sedition plot allegations, and the resurfaced Maxine Waters' resist Trump confession. And if you stay till the end, I'll respond directly to your live comments as we walk through what all of this means for Trump, for 2025 going into 2026, and the country. And don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe, and share this video. Let's get started with our first story.
I want to ask you about Democratic Congresswoman Stacey Plaskett. Last week, as you know, there was a failed censure effort over her text with Epstein during an oversight hearing in 2019. He was a known sex offender. She acknowledged Epstein's influence in her line of questioning during that hearing on this show when we had her on, but would not say it was an error in judgment. Here's how you defended her on the House floor last week so our viewers can listen.
However ill-advised it may have been, she took a phone call from one of her constituents. They've arraigned a Democratic member for taking a phone call from her constituent, Jeffrey Epstein, in the middle of a hearing. And of course, I don't think there's any rule here against taking phone calls in a hearing.
And to be clear, she initiated the text chain on that day. But are Democrats losing the moral high ground on the Epstein issue by defending her as you have?
See, this is still making the rounds because the Democrats still haven't let go of the Trump is in the Epstein files narrative. And they continue to try to say that Trump is guilty by association. However, when it comes to one of their own who exchanges text messages, gets tips on how to get Trump impeached, oh, no, there's nothing to see here. There's no such thing as guilt by association. It's her constituent, a known sex offender. As at the point where she was receiving these text messages, he had already been convicted of being a sexual predator 11 years before that. So it wasn't a secret to anyone who this guy was. So again and again, they continue to show their hypocritical takes on everything from when the sun shines to Donald Trump's associations from past years.
Well, look, we've been demanding a complete release of the file, and now they wanted to discipline her, censure her, because she'd engaged in that text exchange with a convicted criminal.
Yeah, right. Well, he went on CNN and they had to fact check him right there on CNN. It's amazing to watch what goes on these days on mainstream media. We continue to get shocked by the way they keep challenging the people that they usually run cover for. Now, let me know in the chat, do you think Democrats would ever accept responsibility for Epstein now that even CNN and MSNBC, well, not MSNBC, but just CNN is pushing back on this narrative? Let me know in the chat. Now, speaking of Democrats drowning in their own contradictions, Hakeem Jeffries just delivered one of the most unbelievable lies of the week. Well, let's watch this and let me know what you think.
And under current law, undocumented immigrants are already ineligible for Medicaid, the ACA exchanges, and for SNAP benefits. Not a single undocumented immigrant in this country gets a dime in federal taxpayer dollars for any part of comprehensive Medicaid coverage.
see what Democrats continue to do. Whenever this conversation around Medicaid and illegal immigrants enjoying Medicaid comes up, Democrats start out with, it's illegal for them to receive Medicaid. And then they keep talking, and then they said, well, even if they're receiving Medicaid, it's a dime over every dollar that is spent on every American. Now, this is in context of a post that challenges the House minority leaders. This clip asserting that immigrants haven't been receiving federal Medicaid funding. All right. However, Illinois, the state of Illinois, in July of 2025, terminated state-funded health benefits for immigrant adults. So they come on air. They say that they haven't been issuing Medicaid to illegal immigrants, while blue states like Illinois are terminating these programs because the cash flow has stopped. Biden isn't in office. The one big beautiful bill passed. They won't be getting these subsidies with which they can buy votes by giving these undocumented or illegal immigrants free health care. And so they have to terminate it, else something else is going to need to be done to raise the funds for this. So they continue to lie. And when that program was terminated in Illinois, 30,000 non-citizen adults aged 42 to 64 were affected, and it saved $1 billion. So again, Democrats continue to lie about this issue. Continue to lie. They continue to deflect. They continue to, try to blame the Republicans for any shortfall in the health program. Now, this is a quick skip, because we're going to continue seeing Hakeem Jeffries talk about how President Trump has taken away health care and how illegal immigrants aren't being beneficiaries of Medicaid. He's going to continue to give these kinds of nothing burger speeches. Okay, he dances around, says everything and nothing. Meanwhile, states like Illinois and Chicago and California are guilty of giving free healthcare to undocumented immigrants. Now, why do Democrats lie about immigration numbers when the receipts often expose them? All right, let me know in the chat. One thing I think is that they believe that their colleagues in Congress and the mainstream media will run cover for them, and they don't have to, bear the consequences for that. And one case in point is Chicago. All right. If you think what Hakeem Jeffries just said wasn't wild enough, okay, Democrats in Chicago, Brandon Johnson, let me call him, okay, he's not Voldemort, let's call his name, is using the exact same pattern. Okay, just look at what he said, in the next video. But before we jump into that, now, if you like the easygoing tone of my commentary of the news without all the outrage that you see on other channels, okay, please consider liking this video and subscribing. If you can, donate with a super chat or join the membership. If you don't do anything but watch and chat, I'm grateful for that too. Right. So I want to thank you for your support. Now, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson claims that jailing criminals is racist. You don't believe me? All right. Let's hear from the horse's mouth.
We cannot incarcerate our way out of violence. We've already tried that, and we've ended up with the largest prison population in the world without solving the problems of crime and violence. The addiction on jails and incarceration in this country, we have moved past that. It is racist, it is immoral, it is unholy, and it is not the way to drive violence down.
All right, so it's like saying hospitals have been treating sickness for millennia, and it hasn't reduced the number of people getting sick. It hasn't eradicated disease. So why don't we just close down hospitals? Why don't we eliminate healthcare? And, since trying to stop disease hasn't ended disease. I have some choice words to say about this man's reasoning process, or at least the reasoning process of the nincompoop who wrote his speech. Okay, but I'm going to, nincompoop is as far as I'm going to go today. All right. Now, while he's saying these outlandish, stupid things, because when you look at crime in Chicago is way up. The people feel unsafe. When you listen to the average citizen in Chicago, their kids can't go out to play on the street because of gang violence. Just last weekend, during the Christmas lighting tree, violence broke out. There were casualties. It was all over the news. We didn't cover it because of all the other stuff that was going on with the Democrats trying to stage let me not exaggerate, trying to inspire a coup. I'll just say it that way, with the seditious video that they put out. We're still talking about the video, by the way. And you see all of that going on. And the mayor of Chicago and the governor of Illinois step out and say, nothing to see here. It's okay. Brandon Johnson says it's when a criminal who was convicted 72 times, but wasn't jailed. This is the guy, okay? This is the same guy who stepped out after that guy who hadn't been jailed, after being arrested 72 times for violent crimes, set a woman on fire on a train. And he does a press conference and says this was an isolated event. This is the same guy saying you can't incarcerate yourself out of crime. That's the same guy. All right. It chafes at me when I hear stupidity in a suit. All right. So wearing a suit, having a nice haircut, and being elected into office doesn't cure stupidity. This is insanity. And, but what is more insane is when a judge frees someone who has been convicted by a jury of stealing $7.2 million of Medicaid funds. And he says, look, even though the jury found you guilty, I'm going to free you. All right. The insanity keeps building up. Let's watch this story, because we're going to listen to Fox News's breakdown of this account, and then we're also going to watch ABC News talk about it briefly.
We're talking about billions of dollars that have been stolen from American taxpayers. And Ilhan Omar and the rest of them seem more outraged at those of us who reported on it, those of us who noticed it, and those of us who blew the whistle. But this scandal is not going away.
Now, Minnesota tax dollars apparently ending up in the hands of terrorists overseas. So how's that happening and why? So we'll get to an alarming detail about that coming up.
All right. So there's Medicaid fraud happening all over the place. When someone is caught and convicted on this issue, a judge decides, like Mayor Brandon Johnson is saying, it's racist to put someone who has been found guilty of a crime in jail.
At the August trial for Abdi Fattah Yusuf, the jury heard evidence that he ran his home health care company, Promise Health, out of a mailbox at a Central Avenue address where multiple other home health care companies were supposedly located. Yusuf and his wife, Lol Ahmed, were charged with stealing $7.2 million of taxpayer money through Medicaid overbilling in a personal care assistant, or PCA, scam. The couple allegedly spent tens of thousands of the fraud money on luxury items for themselves. Despite the jury swiftly convicting Yusuf, Judge Sarah West last week decided they got it wrong.
It's reversing or overturning a jury's verdict.
Defense attorney Joe Tamburino, who's not affiliated with this case, reviewed the decision and analyzed it for KARE 11 News. He says Judge West ruled that the state's case relied heavily on circumstantial evidence and that she believed the state did not rule out other reasonable inferences.
That, in fact, there could have been other reasonable theories other than guilt in this case. That's what it comes down to.
Despite
the reasonable theories that I see here is just that that the jury was being racist. She didn't say it, but that's basically what it appears. This is someone who ran a healthcare scam, essentially was found guilty based on the documentation. Someone doesn't get indicted and dragged before the court and a jury without evidence. She says it's circumstantial. If it was all circumstantial, how did the case go to trial? These are real questions that people who have a brain and two eyes would ask. All right. And then after everything, after spending millions of taxpayer money on a case, she gets up and ignores the decision of the jury. Okay. I'm still on my journey down the study on the U.S. Constitution, so I'm not going to say anything about how being judged by a jury of your peers, is a constitutional issue that is being thrown out by this judge, because I'm going to avoid saying anything that I haven't yet covered during my studies. Okay, but what do you think about this story? Now, let's finish up this report, because I think he has a bit more to say, because the breakdown coming from the lawyer that's talking about it might give us some more information.
the ruling, even Judge West wrote that she is troubled by the manner in which fraud was able to be perpetuated at Promise Health.
I was stunned.
State Representative Kristen Robbins, chair of the House Fraud Prevention and State Oversight Committee, says she's now reviewing if any state laws need to be tightened.
We want to strengthen state law so that we can get prosecutions out of these cases, because clearly a jury thought he was guilty.
Jurors in the case can't believe the decision.
I am shocked. I'm shocked based off of all of the evidence that was presented to us and the obvious guilt that we saw based off of the said evidence. It was not a difficult decision whatsoever. The deliberation took probably 4 hours at most. Based off of the state's evidence that was presented, I was beyond a reasonable doubt.
The attorney for Mr. Youssef, Ian Burrell, sent me a statement today that says, in part, Judge West's ruling affirms what we have maintained from the beginning, that our client, Mr. Youssef, was wrongfully accused and did not commit fraud or racketeering.
So essentially, the judge's decision has emboldened more fraud to take place. All right. Now, let me know your thoughts in the chat. Does what we saw with Chicago prove that Democrat cities are becoming unlivable by design when you have people who appear to be brilliant or intelligent making stupid statements in front of the press like Brandon Johnson just did? Okay, if you made that statement years ago, you'll be laughed out of town. Today, because of the dumbing down of the electorate, you have people bold enough to say stupid things like that and get away with it and get reelected the next time. So let me know in the chat what you think. And concerning this case with the judge who throws out the decision of a jury of his peers, should a judge be removed for freeing someone convicted of stealing millions from taxpayers? Let me know your thoughts in the chat. Now, as the Democrats excuse crime at home, they're also undermining the rule of law at the highest level. Even inside the U.S. military, we've been covering the bombshell video that they released encouraging the armed forces and the intelligence community to disobey orders that they feel are unlawful. Now, Pete Hegseth released a statement yesterday. Mainstream media went nuts over it. He's going to be bringing court-martial charges against one of the individuals who was on the video, Mark Kelly. And here's a statement being made concerning all of this, because sometimes you look at these stories and it appears that all of this is just orchestrated and is serving as a distraction for something else. But we do have to look at these stories, break them apart, and maybe connect the dots eventually. So let's listen to Carolyn Levitt break down the statements coming from inside of the White House.
We're hoping to sort of sow this distrust. Go ahead,
they can't answer the question, Martha, because there is no answer. They can't identify illegal orders because there are no illegal orders. But they were suggesting, again, to the 1.3 million active duty service members in the military today that if you think an order is illegal, you don't have to follow it. Actually, that's against the Uniform Code of Military Justice. It explicitly states, and I want to read this language precisely, that service members have a legal obligation under the U.S. UCMJ to obey lawful orders, and that orders are presumed to be lawful. You can't have a soldier out on the battlefield or conducting a classified order questioning whether that order is lawful or whether they should follow through. There must be a chain of command in our military, and Republicans and Democrats for decades, since the beginning of our country, have always respected that until now when the Democrat Party has been completely overtaken by Trump derangement syndrome, and now we have these deranged statements from sitting members of Congress.
We're hoping to.
We have seen that Democrats make statements straddling the line of legality, for decades. They figure out how to say stuff that is outrageous without being illegal. They keep doing that, but it is very clear that when you put out a video like that has a tendency of skewing the perceptions of 1.3 million armed personnel. These people are armed, okay? And you tell them, look, you can choose to ignore the orders of the commander-in-chief. And knowing that people within the armed forces have political leanings as well. They are not just automatons who don't vote Democrat or Republican. There are people there who vote Democrat. There are people in there who vote Republican. But when you serve under the commander-in-chief, you lay your political leanings aside and you follow the chain of command. But Democrats want to slide their slimy tentacles. Okay, that's a bad way of framing it. But what they did is actually slimy. Okay, trying to get people who are supposed to follow a chain of command to disobey the orders of the commander-in-chief. Now, let's listen to Jesse Waters reveal a statement, or at least some reports that he has gotten from inside of the CIA, which is very disturbing.
I sort of wanted her to keep talking. I mean, what foolishness. This is a woman who won a year ago by 0.3 percentage point in Michigan, by 19,000 votes out of 5 million cast. And she speaks like this: I want the people of Michigan, Arizona to know their senators are interested in sound bites and social media screeds rather than facts and figures.
So I talked to 2 CIA officers who said that this is a part of a larger hoax, and what they're doing here is they're trying to condition the country to prepare for something bad that's about to happen at the hands of Donald Trump. It's straight out of the CIA playbook. It's a destabilization operation where you get people to mistrust each other. And you do this because she's an analyst. And as an analyst, she would make sure what propaganda operations were successful, which ones weren't. So she knows what works. So the first part of the video, you establish authority. I'm CIA, I'm military, you need to trust us. Second part of the video, they introduce the threat. And the threat's not foreign, the threat's domestic, the threat's Donald Trump. And then at the end, they introduce the solution. What's the solution? You resist, you say no. But they don't give an option. They say this is an obligation for you to do. Now, she is being run because she didn't come up with this herself. She's a Brennan acolyte, and you usually don't have congressmen and senators doing anything together. They kind of hate each other. So in order to organize this had to have had some sort of handler telling her what to do. And it was risky because nothing like this has ever been done in the history of the country. And you can even tell because the media was skeptical and they couldn't answer the question. So they hadn't even been read in on the operation. You see them fumbling and stumbling. And I'm glad that the U.S. military is now investigating this guy, Kelly, because this is what we expect from Donald Trump 2.0. You can't have the deep state interfering with a duly elected presidency and get away with it. You got to draw the line in the sand, and you have to make examples out of people.
Right. Now, like I said, disturbing. If this is a CIA operation that we're watching, it is disturbing. Now, the question that I have for you is, do you believe the deep state is trying to trigger a crisis in order to undermine President Trump, just like he said he was informed? Let me know in the chat. All right, now let's move on to our final story, all right? Because if you think this is new, remember that Democrats have openly encouraged rebellion before, all right? So just listen to what Maxine Waters said on this video.
Thank you very much. I am so pleased that Robert Garcia is here and the mayor is here. This is an important press conference that is being held to let you know what we're all doing, resisting this low-down, dirty, no-good, filthy president of the United States of America.
Yeah, so the Democrats are all in on this. We know they're all in on it. And there's no point being mealy-mouthed about this entire situation. There's no point. All right, so let me know your thoughts. Okay, now final question. Has the Democrat Party been encouraging rebellion for years without consequences? I think they have. I've seen videos from the 90s where they called President Bush illegitimate. They've been using that word for a long time. They've been straddling the line, pushing the envelope, and gradually trying to make sure that that the people that they don't want in power are undermined with every avenue or with everything that they can do legally in order to make sure that they are ineffective and look bad. Now, in this episode of our live stream, we exposed Raskin's CNN meltdown, Jeff Reese's Medicaid lies, Chicago's jail is racist insanity, the Minnesota judge freeing a $7 million fraudster, the explosive UCMJ and CIA sedition evidence, and Maxine Waters' own words proving the left's commitment to rebellion. So today has proved again that Democrats, one, are losing the narrative. Anyone who believes that Democrats are the good guys, based on the way they've acted over the last month plus, including the shutdown, where they refused to vote to reopen the government, while federal and military personnel were not being paid, and they said that this was leverage. If you still believe these guys are the good guys, all right, think again. Now, the media appears to either be confused or turning on them, and Trump's message is becoming clearer and sharper. So let's engage in the chat and let me know your thoughts. I'm going to be reading the chat right now, so keep your messages coming. But before that, I'll take a couple of comments from the comments section, then I'll read your chat. I know a few of you are like, "Ooh, I haven't put in my messages yet in the chat. I really want to, get in on this." So please put your messages in the chat. Put your messages in the chat, and then let's have a conversation. I'm trying to get this. Okay. I'm going to read several. Okay. A message from a few minutes back from Yobron X. From this video, Democrats fail again as Trump operative sets inflation records straight. That was from yesterday. They said the Democrats, can lie so easily. It's too expensive to live. Now, are they referring to the Democrats or are they referring to the polls? I don't know. Ultra Mesh says, yeah, those guardrails you're referring to definitely held need to be repeatedly reinforced. I made a statement saying that the guardrails within the Constitution that keeps and holds the President of the United States accountable and keeps him from doing things he shouldn't be doing have held so far. And I guess this commenter is agreeing. Ultra Mesh again says on the same video, No one should accept unlawful orders. Authorities should not be abused. These are absolute facts. They simply stated them. No reference to lawful orders was made. No reference to lawful orders or unlawful orders. I don't know what he's saying. Only unlawful orders, and to be aware of them and your obligation. Now, this definitely is a guy who believes that what the Democrats did was fine by him. Okay. And I always ask the question, if the roles were reversed, would this be correct? Would this be right? Would you accept this kind of behavior? Would you accept this kind of behavior? I always ask that question because whenever you have people who are partisan supporting the actions of their favorite party or favored party, and they attack the actions of the other side, it is clear that they are simply being partisan when both parties did the same thing. Same thing, but simply because someone you like did it, it makes it okay. But when someone you don't like does it, it's not okay. That is being partisan. We need to always aim to tell the truth. All right, so let's dive into the chat and then talk about your thoughts on these stories. All right. Tara says, has the circus started again? The circus never ends. It never ends. I keep saying that we should brace ourselves. We should brace ourselves. This isn't going away. Trump has 3 more years. The last 10 months has felt like 3 years. So much has happened. So much has happened that we've even forgotten had happened. I look at my old videos and I see the things that Trump has said, Democrats have said, Trump has done, Democrats have freaked out. I've seen all of the meltdowns that I've covered, and it's like all this happened in just 10 months. It's crazy, but more is to come. Moving on, Canary King says, asks, was the judge paid off? That is something that that needs to be explored because I don't know, maybe there are cases where the judges overruled the jury and there was a reason for that being overruled. I don't have any stories where that has happened. If you do, you can send them to me in the chat or send them via to the email. I would love to see where that has happened. I believe it may have happened, but it's not something that a judge takes lightly. And when a jury convicts someone, the judge, for the judge to throw out the case and say, look, in spite of the jury's decision, we're not going to convict this person. It has to be a very serious breach that the judge has identified. Okay. Elite React says, stopping in to say hello. YouTube's algorithm will not help conservative talking shows. Well, we just have to soldier on. I noticed that views on my videos dipped around August. And there were others who said the same thing. And I just want to chalk it up to, okay, algorithm changes on YouTube. But one of the things that I would like to ask, and that's why, and I think that's why I was moved to begin to ask for things like subscriptions and likes and shares, because I need to know that it's not me, but it's the algorithm. So maybe I should be doing more of asking for likes and subscriptions and letting you know when the show is coming up and so on. So that's why I've started doing that, and also asking for donations, because being currently a full-time YouTuber, with the drops in views, I need other ways to kind of keep the channel going. So that's why I've been doing that. So thank you, Elite Reacts. Thank you, Tara. Thank you, Canary King. If you've noticed some of the adjustments in the format of the live streams and the videos, I would like to give credit to Canary King, because he's been very supportive. He sends me messages. We talk about the structure of the live streams, how to make it more interesting and exciting for you. So you guys should just help me to appreciate Canary King in the chat, because he's been very supportive. All of this, is all to just kind of make sure that I'm doing my due diligence. But I want to appreciate you for dropping by Elite Reacts. It has been very supportive to just see you guys in the chat and watching. Sometimes you're watching and you're seeing the view count flicker, and I try not to look at the view count. I do my best, but I can't help it. But it's always encouraging to look at the view count, and it kind of lifts up my spirits to see that you guys are there and I'm not talking to myself. But even when I don't see you guys there, I kind of pretend like, okay, eventually you're going to watch the video, and I have to give you the same energy and the same experience when you're watching it after the fact. All right, so thank you so much, Elite Reacts. Now, before I move on, please, if you're watching and you're not subscribed, please subscribe. If you haven't sent us a donation yet and you're not able to, don't feel bad about it. Just watching and chatting. If you can't send a donation, chat. All right. If you can't join the membership, chat, watch, just show up. Okay. Even playing the video or the live stream in the background while you're doing stuff is appreciated. Just if you can't chat, watch. Okay. Like, just any way you engage helps us out. Okay. And then subscribing and sharing and liking goes a long way. Tara says, my thoughts exactly. They need to trace the money. Okay, referring to Canary King's statement on whether the judge was paid off. Well, the DOJ should investigate this, and let's see what they come up with eventually. Juan Miranda, thanks for dropping the comments in the chat. No one should be obligated to follow unlawful orders. What unlawful orders have been given? None of these guys have been able to say. So if no unlawful orders have been given, why are you insinuating that unlawful orders are being followed? I've covered this before. I played a video where that Democrat video was broken down. If we are all intellectually honest, we will know that we would recognize what was going on in that video. We would. Okay, simply saying, unlawful orders are being followed, wink, wink, nod, nod, you can choose to disobey them. And then in a month or two, you have Democrats screaming at the top of their lungs that sending the National Guard to blue cities riddled and racked with crimes is unlawful and unconstitutional. It is poisoning the well. You've told them already, don't obey unlawful orders. Who decides which orders are unlawful? All right, then the soldiers say, well, yeah, I won't because I'm a patriot. And then in 2 months, the Democrats say, this order was unlawful. It's unlawful. And then you have blue cities taking the Trump administration to court. It is appealed at the Supreme Court. And then the Supreme Court says the president has wide latitude to do this because there's crime in your cities. This is what's going on in your cities. He can do this. But you know what? Mainstream media will not cover that verdict. They'll be like, oh, he's illegitimate. The Supreme Court needs to be packed now because they didn't do something we wanted them to do. That's what we're seeing in the narrative. And we need to kind of be level-headed. We need to be level-headed. We need to be honest. We need to be intellectually honest with ourselves. And we need to tell the truth. Okay? We need to tell the truth. Every one of us has a sense of justice internally. When something is being done right, we can sense it in our souls. This is right. All right. I need you to trust that sensation inside of your soul when, okay, this is right. Then ask yourself, If the other side did this same thing, would I support it? If they did it to me, and that's why the golden rule is so important, do to others what you want them to do to you. Tara says, breaking the chain of command will cause unimaginable chaos. It will backfire. Anyone who's flirting with this whole idea of disobeying unlawful orders doesn't understand what they're courting. They do not. They don't. And I don't want to describe it here. It's not the topic of this conversation, but it is going to be horrific, okay, when that happens. Okay, referring to orders, Connecticut says this is a very interesting situation. On the one hand, unlawful orders shouldn't be followed, but in the military, they must follow lawful orders. It's cleverly worded to push buttons. Why did the Democrats feel the need to do this video? They've never done a video like this before. When Barack Obama was droning the Middle East at will, killed an American citizen or two while he was president. George Bush was doing that. Why now? You know, I think we should ask that question because none of this makes any sense. Has Trump droned anyone? Has he killed American citizens, with his orders? No, but Obama did. No outrage there when he did. Connecticut says politicking is messy. Yeah, it's messy. I grew up in a family where politics was not discussed. It wasn't something that we discussed. We just saw it on the news and moved on. But when politics begins to creep into your wallet and creep into your home and even creeps into your bedroom, it doesn't leave you alone. You have to pay attention to it and you have to start talking about it and you have to educate yourself on it. All right, so that is where we are in the scheme of things. Right, if you're watching and you're not sending in a chat, please engage. I see the number of people who are watching and I see the people who are chatting and I'm like, it's not the same. Guys, come on. And I'm streaming on multiple platforms. So the count I see is more like all the platforms combined. So if you're watching, don't be shy. Send in your thoughts about this conversation or anything that you've picked up during the live stream. Connecticut says one side makes a move, the other side makes a counter move. It's chess, but now, guys, do you know that? Okay, I'm gonna let you in. Okay, sometimes I feel like maybe I should stop talking about politics because it's exhausting. It's exhausting to just watch the hypocrisy, watch the moves and counter moves. But even if you attempt to rip yourself away from all of the conversations, it's not going away. It isn't. And if we don't know what's going on, for example, I keep a close eye on the news cycle. I hear what everyone says and I hear what they say months later. And I can pick up when someone is being a hypocrite and when they're trying to do something that isn't helpful to me. And I think keeping an eye on all of this is interesting. Watching them play chess with all of us, because all of us, as far as they are concerned, we are pawns. We are pawns. They want us to get enraged and react against the other side, Republicans and Democrats. So we have to keep our eyes open in order not to become unwitting pawns in their game. All right. The Republicans have had a season where they did horrible things. And people were like, okay, maybe the Democrats are the party to vote for. Okay. Barack Obama was the response to George Bush and endless wars. And after Barack Obama went in there, Trump was the response to wokeness and anti-Christian sentiments that were brewing. And a lot of things that were happening that Americans just didn't like. Trump was the response. And then Biden was the response to whatever. I don't know whether that was actually a response, because people still wonder if he won the elections. Let's move on, because I'm just, you get the thing, move, counter move. It's just tiring. The Dems are clearly trolling Trump. Yeah. Well, trolling is when you do something that isn't illegal, but triggers the other person. And if you look at the video, like we said earlier, it's hard to say whether it is legal or illegal. It's straddling the line of legality, but it is triggering. But then again, it's like playing Russian roulette. But this time the bullets in there is 1.3 million military personnel and intelligence operatives. I don't know, guys. like I said, it's so exhausting. And Canary King repeats, it's so exhausting. It may be worthwhile to sprinkle in relevant non-political items, may be helpful in dealing with political fatigue. Well, it's bad for the algorithm. I would love to do reactions to movie reviews, comedy. I would love to be able to sit down and break down the latest anime that I've watched. I watched Demon Slayer a couple of weeks back. Really nice anime. Yeah, I mean, I would like to sit and talk about stuff like that and review them, but the algorithm has me locked in. The moment I try to extricate myself from the insanity, I stop having a YouTube channel. So it's really dependent on my audience, and my audience come back because I have something to say about the news. And the only way I can be authoritative about talking about the news is if I talk about it regularly. And in this case, I do it every single day. I try to have a life. I try to be present for my family and for my friends. But this is currently my 9 to 5. It is my 9 to 5. So I try to be as useful to you as I can by paying attention to the news cycle and being more educated. Like I said earlier, I've started taking a course on the US Constitution so that I can be more useful. Canary King says, good point on the algorithm. Yeah, the algorithm is like your jailer. It jails you into talking about, for example, I have 2 channels, the main channel and the backup channel. Both channels, the backup channel is set up as an entertainment channel. I was running an experiment, so it's set up as an entertainment channel, but I live stream and I push content the same to both of them. I noticed that the backup channel began to drop off in views because all I do is news. So I've switched it back over to becoming a news and politics channel. And we just need to respect the algorithm. And to be honest, I want to talk about things that I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about the future of the world, the future of my kids. And politics is connected to that. I enjoy entertainment. I enjoy movies and TV shows. Currently, I'm following a TV show and it's nice and it's fun, but this is not that channel. Now, maybe if at some point my audience allows me to bring in additional stories, because right now my audience it isn't standing firm on following the content that I'm promoting. I have over 10,000 subscribers, but whenever I go live, I have only, in some cases, 3 people watching simultaneously, and people dip in and out who aren't subscribers. So at the end of the day, I don't have the full benefits of all the subscribers that I have, which takes me back to what Elite Reacts says. I don't know if Elite Reacts is still watching, because he says he stopped in to say hello. He says YouTube's algorithm will not help conservative talking shows. And years ago, all right, I did a podcast episode where I asked the question, does profanity help your content? Because I noticed that some of the biggest creators that I've seen use a lot of profanity. Now, only recently did I see there was one channel, Devory Dawkins. Devory Dawkins, he's a person of color. His channel exploded recently. Went from 6,000 subscribers just last January to over 1 million a couple of months back. So he doesn't use profanity. So I have a lot of questions about the algorithm and how it works. I do. Canary King says, perhaps there are tangential news stories close to the court theme. I will experiment on the tangential stories. I do, guys. I don't sit all day and watch the news. I don't. I try to not let it become everything about me. If that's all I did, I would be very depressed. Because one thing you should know about news is that bad news sells. Whenever you look at my titles and thumbnails, most of the time I lean into, hey, here's the negative thing that's happening, but I also try to say something positive to kind of balance out the title. I try to, but it doesn't always work. Sometimes if your title is too positive, people don't watch. The people who tend to enjoy a good reaction with positive content is entertainment channels. When it's more like something that's funny and lighthearted and uplifting, that's an entertainment channel. I am not an entertainer. I will fail horribly if I tried to entertain you. I can only discuss with you and share my thoughts. So that's my position, guys. So I will do my best to continue to experiment to make sure that the videos are wholesome, contain good information. Try to make sure that whenever we go live, I present you with something substantial and valuable. I hold myself to a very high standard when it comes to presenting you with content. I feel horrible whenever I fail to do that. I feel like genuinely horrible whenever I present you with something and I find out later that it wasn't true. So I do my best to try to keep you guys informed as much as I can. All right. So that is my commitment to you. And I want you guys to know that I will do my best to keep doing that. Now, I set up a poll, and I want to read out the poll before we call it an afternoon. I will be back again at 9 p.m. Eastern. If you're able to make it, I would love to see you on the show and in the chat. So the poll asked, is the deep state actively trying to undermine Trump again? And the response on the main channel says absolutely. 67% of you said absolutely. 17% said possibly, and another 17% said not sure. I'm going to end the poll right now. Okay. And then on the backup channel, 100% said absolutely. The deep state is trying to undermine Trump again. Absolutely. That's interesting. So there is diversity of thought. I like diversity of thought. I like us to think differently, have diversity of thought, see things, have a wide spectrum of thought, and be able to articulate our thoughts clearly to each other. Charlie Kirk said, when conversation stops, the violence begins. I have struggled. Now, I'm just sharing my heart with you guys. I know this is the live stream. The main part of the live stream has ended. If you're joining and you're meeting this, sorry, I've already covered the news and the stories and done reactions to your chat. But I'm just telling you this. One of the things that I struggle with is to become let me use the word a polarizing voice. But no matter how hard I try, I will always polarize someone. I will always push someone to say, I am on this side and I'm on the other side. I am a conservative. I believe in conservative values. I'm a Christian. And there are things that the Democrats will never win me over on. Abortion is one of them. Never. Okay. And other things that are sexual in nature, you know what I'm talking about. You will never win me over on those. However, I do believe that there are some ideas that the Democrats have originated that should be looked into and considered. All right. Applications may vary, but conversations should happen. Now, because the Democrats believe a certain way, does that mean that I should view them as the enemy? I don't think so. And because of that posture, my channel is at risk of becoming perceived as milquetoast, middle of the road, as lukewarm. We have the other channels out there that are very hardline, that are very strict, and they're like firm on their position, and they demonize everyone else who doesn't believe what they espouse. Those channels are thriving because the people who believe that way find them. People who find my channel and enjoy it appear to be in the minority. But like Elite Reacts said earlier, it appears that this might be some algorithmic issues that keeps people like us who are moderate and common sense from finding each other. I don't know. What do you think? Do you agree with his take? Do you think that there's something about that needs to be explored? All right. Maybe we'll talk about that as time goes on. Well, thank you for hanging out with me during this live stream. It has been fun. Let me know if you have any suggestions or any ideas. You can reach me at the email address on the screen. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your suggestions. You can be like Canary King and say, hey, have you thought about this? And if you have a story to share with me, you can go ahead and share the story. I want to be able to present other stories to you. I want to be able to have some entertainment content brought into the channel that will make sense. But I'm still trying to figure out how to get more people to come in to watch and stay and to engage with the content. It is a journey. It is something that I'm trying to figure out. And maybe if you stick around, we'll all figure it out together. I appreciate all of you who have engaged in the chat. I am going to do a roll call for everyone who has engaged. Thank you, Canary King. I am Tara Music, Juan Miranda, Elite Reacts. Thank you so much for joining the show, engaging. And if you're watching after the fact, don't be shy. Drop your comments in the chat. And as you can see, we read these comments. I have more comments that I could have read, but I didn't want to do a deep dive into the comment section. Maybe what we're going to do is during tonight's live stream, I might read some more comments. I just saw one that's really interesting. I'm going to leave that. Maybe if I get to it tonight, we're going to cover that during the live stream. Thank you for being a part of this episode. Until next time, God bless you, and I will see you on the next one. Bye. Welcome to Headlines and History, live news reactions and your views. We're about to go live soon, so grab your spot and get ready for a sharp, balanced take on today's biggest news stories with a dash of historical insight. Stay tuned. Each week, we tackle the headlines that matter: politics, economics, global events with a balanced lens. We'll react live, tie today's stories to historical moments, and spotlight your views in the chat. From trade talks echoing the 1990s to crises recalling 2008, we're here to unpack it all. Your voice drives the show. Share your thoughts or historical parallels in the live chat, and we'll dive into the best ones. It's news, context, and community all in 1 hour. We're moments away from launching Headlines and History. Stick around for live reactions, historical nuggets, and your chance to chime in. Hit the notification bell, prep your comments, and let's make sense of the news together. See you soon.